Good day and welcome to Mining Review Africa at DRC Mining Week 2026. Today I'm speaking with Ben Chan from MMG. Ben, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Kinsevere Expansion Project is often cited as a successful delivery story. What enabled MMG to execute such a complex project within a disciplined time frame?
I think there were a lot of factors in play. The first one being having a very clear strategic visions about extending the mine life of Kinsevere for another 10 to 15 years by building a capability to process a deeper resources, which we call the sulfide minerals. The second factor, I would say, it's around a collaboration between the project team, the contractors and local communities and the government to ensure that this Kinsevere mine can continue to operate to provide that benefit to the economy and local communities. So by having those two in mind, the third one is really just having a very early risk management and execution plans to make sure that we have a unique way to deliver these projects. So it's a very unique way, I think, to deliver a project, a brownfield project in DRC. Obviously, we're trying to save a lot of costs by moving those savings, reinvesting into a better technology, a bigger capacity, and a slightly better brands and the selection, equipment selection, etc. So by reinvesting these savings back into the projects, I think we have achieved an excellent outcome.
That's great. To what extent did access to long-term capital and Chinese investment support accelerate the delivery of the project?
I would say the competitiveness of having some of the long-term debt facility we have in place certainly accelerated the decision-making process, helping this project to move across the line. If you remember, the project decision was made just after the pandemic. I think there were a lot of uncertainties around how the industry is gonna move in terms of copper prices and everything. But I think we made a decision in the cycle where the copper price wasn't really strong, but with those incentives, obviously the financial benefit as one of them, we were able to make a decision now enjoying these projects at the higher copper price cycle. So that certainly turned out to be a very, very good outcome as well. Yeah.
From investment decision to ramp up, what were the key milestones that demonstrate the efficiency of this execution model?
The first one definitely is being the getting the project approved. So we spent significant amount of time going through our feasibility study. So we have very rigorous a project execution model within MMG, where we started with a conceptual and then to the pre-feasibility study and feasibility study. Even within the feasibility study, we had multiple iterations, redesign and optimization, etc., to get to a final design, which got us across the line. That took us quite a few years, but all the effort we spent in the planning definitely paid off, because that's where we cover most of the risks. And we have a very detailed mitigation plans to manage those risks during the construction. And the second one is obviously having a milestone would be having the engineering design ticked off. Basically, we're ready to go. And then obviously the important milestone is when you see the mechanical completion of the projects, and we can move to the operation readiness and ramping up a commissioning phase. And seeing the project machine switched on and start producing copper, the first cathode we produced out of the CAP investment, was exciting, and that was definitely a huge milestone to have that achievement. And obviously from commissioning, it's a ramp up. We'll get to a point where we will declare commercial production officially and to mark the completion of the project.
In a context where many projects face delays and cost overruns, what lessons did Kinsevere offer to the African mining sector?
As for us, as being a brownfield projects, our challenge is around the complex ore bodies within the Kinsevere concession. and how do we spend a lot of time doing engineering before actually doing implementation. For some other projects, maybe it's more around execution and delivering the project. So each project is unique, but from our experiences, I think a good planning and a execution that suits your appetite is unique. So some company would prefer someone else is doing it for them, like EPCM contract, whereas MMG choose to have the owner team participate from very beginning to end, and then transfer this team into an operation, operation excellence team to continue monitoring the ramp up, and then eventually transfer that knowledge back to the local team where we want to pass that on knowledge onto the local workforce. And the other thing I'll probably mention is some company will go from everything from nothing to all inclusive, and obviously that require a different level of capital investment and different implementation efforts. From where MMG is like to do is basically a phased investment stage where we try to capture the most value in the phase one, which require not the full capital investment, but a portion of the capital investment. And once we demonstrate the successful of the project implementation and when things are changing like copper price, we continue to do the drilling, finding more minerals, then enable us to do the next phase investment, which we say might be in the next 5 years.
Do you see this execution model as replicable across other projects in the DRC and in the region?
Absolutely. So I think what DRC is facing a very similar problem like Chile 30 years ago, where the good oxide, easy mineable oxide material is depleting very fast. At some point, everyone will need to transition to sulfide processing. And Kinsevere is probably a good example of early adoption of that technology to go into transition from oxide processing to the sulfide processing and continue producing the cathode. I see this pattern will be repeated and copied by someone else. I think Glencore, Mumi, I'm not saying they are copying, but I'm saying they are facing exactly the same problem and challenges. And they look at Kinsevere as someone who has done this work before.
Great. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.